gentlemen, at this time, we want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia. Welcome and welcome to our broadcast. This is, of course, Focus on Liberia, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Anthony C. Dennis Ja in this special edition of our show. Welcome, hit the share button. In today's edition of our Saturday special, we have a very special guest. The newly elected chairman of the Liberty Party is here as our guest, and we are happy to welcome you to the broadcast. We have a lot of questions for our guest. He just got elected chairman of the Liberty Party. We want to hear from him. What were his motivations for, smashing the powerful political position in the land? We want to know. And there are mixed reactions about his elections as chairman of the Liberty Party. People are pointing fingers as far back as 2010 and 13. What is going on here? He's here to clarify and explain himself because this is the politics of Liberia and we must all discuss it. We are happy to have our guest. Let me bring in my partner, Dennis Ja, for further introduction of the show. Dennis?
We want to welcome all our viewers across the globe. We want to say welcome, Honorable Musa Bility. We're glad to have you. Congratulations on your elections as chairman of Liberty Party.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We are so glad to have you, Mr. Bility. And let's welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is he's not only the chairman of the Liberty Party, but he's the chairman and CEO of Simrex Gas and Oil Company. Mr. Bility, we are glad to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
All right, folks, the stage is set. Our guest is here. Mr. Bility, in Liberia, you are a household name because you are a big businessman in our country. And also, you have been politically active. But, sometimes people just know, that the men are businessmen, the men are politicians. And that's all people tend to know, right? So it is our tradition here that as a guest, you share with us something minimum, less than a minute, something that we, the ordinary Liberians, can connect to, family men, upbringing and all that. So please, for the sake of our audience, let's get to know you a little bit.
Well, I mean, I'm from Saclay, Central Dimba County. Was born there, grew up there. Went to school there, continued school into Monrovia, went to college, spent a couple of years in the United States, going to Johnson & Wales University in Denver, Colorado, got back home, started my own business. Currently, we have the only 100% privately owned petroleum terminal. I am now the chairman. I'm not the CEO anymore. I'm not the chairman of the company. Back during the period of President Salif, I served as board chair for NPA, Water and Sewer, and LAA. I also served as president of LFA for 8 years. And then I served as the chairman of the Nimba Land Commission, campaign chair for Liberty Party, National Advisory Council chair for Liberty Party, and now chairman of Liberty Party.
All right, that is an impressive journey there. Dennis, you just listening to Mr. Bility telling us or sharing with us his life journey as a Liberian, as a businessman, as a politician.
Yeah, he covered it all. And so, Mr. Bility, you've just been elected chairman of the Liberty Party. What motivated you for the chairmanship? I don't know if you know this, but I met you in your 2017 campaign when you were the campaign manager. This time you won the chairmanship. What motivated you, and what was the platform you ran on?
Well, I love my party. I want to see it progress. But most importantly, I paid the price for sitting idly and not taking direct part in politics. As Socrates would say, the biggest punishment of wise men who refuse to participate in government is to be ruled by the unwise. If you don't want that to happen to you, you have to be in the process. And so my motivation is to help develop in Liberia that gives opportunity for all of us. I mean, if you can recall in our civic classes during the early 80s, the country has a responsibility to ensure that all citizens have the opportunity to develop their own potential. And I believe that at this point we don't have that. And the quest to ensure that there's opportunities for every Liberian, there's equality, there's justice, and then the natural resources of the country is available to all Liberians. Remain my primary objective, and also my mission.
So who were your opponents, and tell us a little bit about the conduct of the elections that you won.
The party, I believe, repose explicit confidence in me because the position was advertised both on radio and in the newspaper and online. And those who felt that I wanted to be chair, almost the entire party believed that once I put up my hand, I was the best person there. And they decided that it was not worth competing with me, knowing that I would do the job that they believe in. So I didn't have an opponent. I was elected on the white ballot, and that makes me proud. But that makes my job even harder because that tells me that I have to consider each and every partisan of the Liberty Party as having voted for me. Because if they were against me, they would have done so by raising their hands to run against me. So my job as a candidate that was unanimously elected unopposed is that you don't know who. I mean, everybody is for you, and you expect to live up to the expectations of everybody.
There were also concerns among. There were some in the party who, though, may not come up to oppose you. Maybe you got deep pockets, and they are afraid that this man. I mean, we're not going to win him. But there are some people who are not satisfied who refer to you in the party as newcomer.
I took this party in 2017, as you know, brought it to prominence. Did everything I could. I'm proud of what I did. I think we ran the best campaign in 2017 under my guardianship. The founding father of this party, Councillor Bromsky, later asked me to be one of the custodians of this party. The constitution was specifically amended to include a position that was specifically spelled out to come to me. And I was specifically named as being the one to chair that position. I think that is a show of confidence in me. I think that is something that I can't take lightly. And that thing that is something that I appreciate very highly.
Before Mr. Sia coming, Mr. Bility, you are a very busy man. You are your company and you're doing very well. And you ran a very good campaign 2017. The party came very close. What is it that you cannot accomplish as a campaign manager or anybody else looking at the, I don't know how you're going to juggle all this. What is it that you cannot accomplish that you want to accomplish as chairman?
Well, first of all, the party constitution has changed. Most of the power in the party was reposed in the political leader. Now it is in the most of the authority. The political leader has agreed to share her power with the executive committee, and the day-to-day administration of the party is exclusively now the responsibility of the executive committee, which is headed by the chairman. So definitely, it gives me a bigger role. It gives me a bigger responsibility, and it also allows me to be able to be in the position to make decisions that will affect the party as well as the country.
Mr. Bility, I guess the question Danny was asking, you are a businessman. You don't only have a single business. You have, I would say, multiple businesses. That's a lot of responsibility. And so to add the chairmanship for a party to that, how much power do you need to make a difference? Don't you think you can make a difference in the business community?
Well, I have been making a difference. I told you in my introductory statement that I no longer run my company. In 2018, I resigned as CEO of the company. Ms. Wade Powell is the CEO of Streamex group of companies since 2018. That's the way it's been. Um, I have the time, and to be chairman of the party is not to go to work and sit down every day. It's about decision making. It's about judgment call. That's what it's meaning about. The party is populated with qualified individuals from the vice chair of administration, operations, secretary general, almost 14 different deputy chairs. So you don't need a chairman to basically be involved in decision making. It's to supervise and make the call when it comes, and make decision when you have to.
Mr.
That
Bility,
you
sorry for interrupting. Mr. Bility, there are people who see that business people have a lot of influence in any society, especially a democratic society that is quote unquote on a capitalist system. And you are a businessman, you live in that influence, that power, and you come into politics. What is it that you see in politics that is so powerful than the power that is in the business community for which you come in here?
politics is the only means by which you make decision that affects the country. There's no other means. If you remain a businessman and want to influence the government, you have to bribe. You have to do unorthodox stuff. To be able to put yourself in a position where you make decisions, you have to be in politics. I mean, it's just as simple as that.
No, that's true in Liberia. But there's this belief that business people should not be the gatekeeper to our democracy, because if you're a businessman, sometimes the aspiration can be clashing. There can be a conflict, right? Because as a businessman, you want things, you want to maximize profit, and now you are the one making decision when it comes to politics. Don't you see that there's going to be a conflict somewhere, or you're going to be betwixt and between somehow?
I don't understand that those who think that way, they never made that call when I was CEO of the campaign for Liberty Party. They never made that call when I was chairman of the advisory council. But most importantly, there is no empirical evidence to that fact. If those who are not business people have done so well in Liberia, then you could say no need for business people to come and disturb. If our country has been so well managed by non-business people, then you will come and say, oh, no need for you to come here. Don't fix it. It ain't broken. But it is broken. Okay, so you can't say that a businessman cannot be a politician when in fact other people who are not businessmen have not done particularly well in the past, in the history of our country. So it's not about business, it's about character, it's about decision making, and therefore it has absolutely nothing to do with whether it is business or not.
Mr. Bility, did you at any point join the CDC? We are aware, though, before you come in, that after the 2017 election, when your party then, the Liberty Party, and your party now, the Liberty Party, did not succeed to secure the second round, many of you went separate ways. You endorsed the CDC based on our information, and correct me if I'm wrong. Ben Savvy went with you. And so since then, pretty much politically, you have been on the side of the CDC. But my question is, did you join the CDC officially at any time, or you have just been supporting them?
Before I answer your question, I think the statement you made that I've been on the side of the CDC politically is incorrect.
Okay.
Since the CDC government came into power, I'm not being on the side of the CDC. If you don't recall, around March 2017, the opposition political parties opposition political party, which means excluding the Unity Party, met in Ghana and signed a document referred to as the Qatar Declaration. In this Qatar Declaration, it was said that all of the opposition will work together to ensure that there will be no third term for the Unity Party. Therefore, when Liberty Party went into this election with the commitment that it has signed with other opposition party, which includes CDC, we as Liberty Party agreed by the result of the election. We want to court, and the court system made a judgment against us and therefore order for the election to continue. At that point in time, one opposition party was in the race, and that opposition party was the CDC. It is on that note that we endorsed the CDC.
All right.
No one knew, or no one could have predicted how the CDC would have run the government. But our decision to endorse CDC was a judgment call. It was based on credibility. It was an agreement that was signed by opposition. If you didn't want CDC to be one of those people that you endorse in a second round, if they got it, then you should never have committed a step to it. For me, a commitment is a commitment.
Thank you. So it was just an endorsement, and you did not support Nino John, the CDC. Is that correct?
Never. And to answer the question, I've never at any time joined the CDC.
All right. Thank you. But then,
in my whole life, I've done only 2 political parties in my entire life. I joined the Unity Party in 2012. So for 2 terms, Madam Selig was ran as president. I was not a member of the Unity Party. I was supporting Madam Selig. After she left, 2012, I joined the Unity Party. I left the Unity Party in 2017. That's it. And this is my last stop.
All right. Thank you. But then in June of 2019, and I want you to reconcile what you just said with this post of yours, dated June 14, 2019, and you wrote, Mr. Bility, it is just sickening to know that the only real plan of the opposition is a grandiose illusion that this government will soon fall. Now, you're using the word opposition to suggest, in my opinion, that you are not an opposition, and you have to correct me on this one, but let me read further. This won't happen, folks. Plan and take advantage of 2020 and prepare adequately for 2023. Nothing else will happen. The longer you sit and wait for your dreams to come true, the worse off you will be. The CDC government is navigating through its most difficult periods. They will learn and learn to get better. And your constant criticism is their most important tool. In real political terms, we are 6 months from midterm election. And this is why you wrote, and from my reading of this, you more like trying to say that you were not opposition at the time you are making a statement. Please clarify that.
I'd like for you to read it again when you leave this program. There's something they call clarion call.
Okay.
When you call on your colleagues to stop warning, to be realistic, and stop making noise and take realistic steps instead of being on Facebook. Remember, when I made that call, this framework agreement of the CPP had not been signed.
I agree, but in that post, let me interject something. You said the opposition. You didn't say we the opposition. You said their opposition. You did not say we the opposition.
That is English. You can define it the way you want to define it. I can say Liberia. So if I use the word Liberians, it doesn't mean that I'm not a Liberian. All right. If I say Liberians, it doesn't mean that I'm not a Liberian. All right. So
I agree.
At some point in time, I will have to interpret my own writing. So I think you should give me the benefit of that doubt.
And now, that is why I asked the question. I said, please clarify. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I made a clarion call.
Okay.
I made a clarion call, and I called on the opposition to stop making noise. And I stand by the statement. But guess what? After I called, there was a result. A committee was set up. A committee was set up. I was the co-chair of that committee. I am a framer of the CPP agreement. I sat during the entire period of the coronavirus to carve that document that you see over there.
Right. And
It's
Mr.
my
Bility
handiwork.
and we'll call
So
you
I'm
back to
part of
talk
it.
about that document.
Yeah,
We'll call
So
you back.
that particular document, I can put anything in it without looking into it. So
That's
at the
good.
end of the day, I'm part of my statement. I am telling you that call I made, marshal the opposition,
Thank you.
put them together, and say, true, Musa is talking the truth. We need to do something. We need to stop whining. We need to get together, and that resulted into the CPP agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Bility. Again, as I said, we're going to call you back on this platform to talk about that CPP agreement. Let's move on to the reactions since your election has chairperson or chairman of the Liberty Party. There has been mixed reactions. Some hail your elections, and some have some things to say that all the allegations against you and everything that you've been involved in, they say there are some integrity issues. I watch you appear on a couple of platforms to state your side, but there has been mixed reaction, and I think you heard some of those. So we want to give you the opportunity to respond to some of those allegations. We're going to name them specifically one at a time.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. C.
And I just wanted to say, after I've read a lot of comments when you got elected, Mr. Bility, this is what came to mind, and I gathered that from some of the posts all around Facebook, that the Liberty Party has betrayed its integrity with the election of Mr. Musa Bility, and the reason the saying is because of these reports of allegations against your character. So what do you say to people reacting in this way to your election? Mr. Bility, are you with us?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are in conversation with Mr. Musa Bility, the newly elected chairman of the Liberty Party. We are hosting him to give his reaction to the counter reactions to his election as chairman of the Liberty Party. Mr. Bility is joining us from Monrovia. He's having some technical issues right now, and he's going to be with us shortly. And
Dennis, while we wait for Mr. Bility to join us quickly, you know, we have heard a lot, and I know we'll get to the sore comment, but Activate Mountain Colley at some point posted on Facebook, the Liberty Party is having an ongoing leadership retreat, and the light, DeLong, is calling FIFA convict Musa Bility Mr. Chairman. Wow. I don't know what he's trying to get across there. That is one of the reactions that's coming from politically active individual, Mr. Ben Emmanuel Savage, who is an ardent advocate for war crime courts in Liberia. He also have some things to say about how dismayed he was and the double standard that has been preached there. He went after Darius DeLong. And then Mr. Darius DeLong came pretty much to the rescue.
We'll come to Darius DeLong. Mr. Bility, you are back now. There has been mixed reaction, most of them negative, but yes, there are some positive reactions. Congratulating you and hailing you as someone who has worked so hard for the Liberty Party, and then you deserve this. First, your reaction to those who think that you have issue with we have a lot of credibility issues that need to be addressed, which may be a distraction to the Unity Party, and then your elections is a dent in the integrity of the Unity Party. Your reaction?
You mean the Liberty Party?
Yeah, Liberty Party.
Okay, so here are the issues. Musa Bility does not have integrity. Councillor Brunson is a man of integrity, and everybody appreciates and everybody loves him. Everybody loves. Councillor Brunson took his presidential bid and gave it to Musa Bility to say, "This is the man I have entrusted to make me president. No noise, no problem." Councillor Brunson, having not succeeded in being president, decided he was stepping aside and say, Musa Bility is one person that I will leave this party with, one of them. Therefore, I will put a provision in the constitution of this party to make the outgoing chairperson of the campaign the chairman of the National Advisory Council. And not only that, this advisory council has the power, the only body with the power to authorize the merger of Liberty Party with anybody or the collaboration with anybody, with Liberty Party to anybody. No problem, no noise. Musa Bility is appointed by Liberty Party to serve on the highest decision-making body of the CPP, which is the National Advisory Council. No noise. Musa Bility becomes chairman of the Liberty Party. Noise. Where is the standard?
Exactly. Why is that
where
so,
is
Mr.
the
Bility?
standard? I don't know. Maybe you can help me to answer. But where is the standard? I mean, I'm just talking on the surface. I'm not even talking on the issue itself, which I will address. But just on the principle of criticism. If the man is not if the man is not credible, do not have anything to do with him. Musa Bility is the man who endorsed Darrell Dillon in 2019. That endorsement was so badly needed. There was no problem. Musa Bility was the man who practically provided 80% financing of Darrell Dillon's first campaign in 2019. No problem. That was good. Musa Bility becomes Liberty Party chairman. He does not have credibility. The people who feel I don't have credibility, they can go and take bath in the sea. Because what they are talking, it doesn't make no sense. They don't know what they are talking. And I think it is pocketed with bigotry, with ethnic biases. And it's just wrong. It's just simply wrong. There's no basis for it.
Right.
You don't choose when to be critical of a person and what to be critical. Right is wrong, wrong is wrong. If Musa Bility is not credible, he should not even be somebody who will run the campaign of the most credible politician in Liberia. Because if Brunson had won, I would be his closest ally. Okay? My influence would be immense.
Right.
Nobody talk about that.
So, Mr. Bility,
yes, sir.
Where do you think this is coming from? Is it because you say your ethnic background? Is it something coming from within the Liberty Party, the CPP, or where do you think this is coming from?
Look, there are a lot of reasoning behind this. Some people feel that Liberty Party is about to look different. Its outlook is going to look different. We're going to look stronger. We're going to look robust, and that gives people headache. People also realize that Liberty Party is going to now, it's not going to be a walkover. Liberty Party is going to be strong, and it's going to insist that there are 4 political parties in the CPP, and they're equal, with equal authority and with equal opportunity. And Liberty Party is also on this your show as chairman of the Liberty Party, reaffirming its commitment to the CPP.
Mr. Bility, is this going to happen because you have money? Because Liberty Party have had other chairmen But the way you're sounding, even though you have been part of the Liberty Party, it's more like you saying, well, that Liberty Party you knew before was not strong. This time it's going to be strong, probably because my pockets are deep enough.
No, but I stand for what I believe in. I stand for what I believe in. I am committed to what I believe in. And I'm not a walkover.
Okay.
So it has nothing to do with money. I have a history of standing by what I believe in Liberian politics. I'm not a pushover. And therefore,
Mr. Bility, something you said just now that I want to push by a little bit, if you don't mind, that this might be happening because of your ethnicity. You have served as head of LFA for about 8 years. Your ethnicity wasn't a factor. You have been in Liberty Party. You serve on the advisory committee. You were campaign manager for Bronskin. You have businesses. You're traveling in Liberia in terms of business. Ethnicity has not been a problem. And now you will dare mention ethnicity because you are a chairman of Liberty Party? Do you think the way you see it is fair?
I named several possibilities. I did not name specific possibilities.
I know. I just pushing back on this one.
Yeah, I understand. I appreciate that. I said maybe. I don't know. Okay. Remember, my first statement, my first reaction to it was that I don't know. But it could be any of those things. It could be people who are afraid that I'm going to.
Oh, Mr. Bility, we can't hear you. Okay. Yeah, come again. It seems to be we're having audio problem at your end, but come again. Go ahead, Mr. Bility. I'm sorry, we can't hear Mr. Bility. Apparently, somebody tried to reach out to him by calling him. That's what usually happens. Mr. Bility, are you here with us? Yeah, Mr. Bility, we can't hear you. If anything, just leave and come back. Usually someone tried to call you, and usually that will compromise the audio from your end. If you don't mind, we'll appreciate if you can leave and come back. That should be able to take care of it. Folks in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. This is our Saturday special. I'm Anthony Sear with my partner Dennis Jah in conversation with the newly elected chairman of the Opposition Liberty Party, Mr. Musa Bility. Dennis?
Mr. Bility, are you there? If not, you can get out and come right back in. Your audio will be fine. Say something, Mr. Bility. All right. So yes, that was a strong pushback on this Mandingo factor. A lot of people run to ethnicity when things are not the way they want it. So, so yeah, Mr. Bility is now saying maybe. But I think that's a very weak maybe, and I wanted to push back on that a little more again. But ladies and gentlemen, keep your questions. We will soon get Mr. Bility. The next thing we're going into now is the reaction from Mr. Abraham Darius DeLong, who many see has the darling of the Liberty Party, and Mr. Abraham Darius DeLong, who has a history of putting his foot in his mouth, said that Mr. Bility is of Saul who has been transformed to Paul. And we want to ask Mr. Bility how he feels about that comment, because my Bible tells me that Saul was very notorious for persecuting Christians. And he met Jesus, who blinded him until brought him to his senses. He was prayed for by Ananias. He regained his sight and he made a 180 turnaround. Is Mr. DeLong inferring that Mr. Bility had a shady character, as people are alleging, and that he has changed from being notoriously corrupt as Paul, as Saul, and now he has been transformed to Saul? Is he giving credence to the criticism and the harsh reactions to the appointment of Mr. Bility? Mr. C, what do you think of Mr. DeLong is saying here?
Mr. DeLong clearly is trying to further prosecute Mr. Bility DeLon is telling us that all of the accusations against Mr. Bility are true. If you look at the reference he's making about Saul, and you, the Bible guy, eloquently articulated that, Saul was this guy who was persecuting Christians, notorious for killing Christians. And he would dare refer to Mr. Bility as the Saul of yesterday. Saul didn't have any good reputation. So this is DeLon, knowingly or unknowingly, saying to Liberians, yeah, the guy was a bad guy. You know, he did a lot of bad things, but now he has changed.
But
He
Mr.
saw.
And that's my point. Do you think Mr. DeLon knows what he's talking about?
Mr. DeLon knows what he's talking about.
So
Mr. DeLon is not a little kid.
So he's
Mr. DeLon,
affirming that Mr. Bility really had a bad character, but now he has been transformed to a Paul.
That's why he's simply saying. DeLon quotes the Bible all the time. And DeLon will tell you how he grew up in the church. So the guy, you know, he knows the Bible. He knows a lot of Bible stories. He knew or knows the story about Saul, who persecuted, and he will refer to Mr. Bility as Saul, the guy who persecuted Christians, who killed Christians. It is in clear terms, DeLon saying, hey, this guy is changed now. Though he was bad, though he was this bad guy with a bad character, but he's a new guy, new person now. And that is basically what DeLon is saying. No one can explain to me that DeLon did not know what he was saying when he said that. I won't buy that.
Right. What Mr. DeLon failed to mention in that quotation was he did not reference any Ananias who prayed for this or Saul to become Paul. And these are some of the gaps that I saw there. But Mr. DeLon has since reneged. He has apologized for those statements. I don't know what that apology means, whether he still stands by Mr. Bility being notorious before and now he's a good guy through the mercy of maybe Councilor Bromsky.
Dennis, I like the way you described DeLon earlier, is that as the guy who is noted now for putting his foot in his mouth. And what Dennis is saying, folks, is that this guy will say something today, and then tomorrow he apologizes. That is the man DeLon, and that is what he has been up to. But to your point, Dennis, look, what he said about Bility was unfortunate, but DeLon, in his own mind, that he was trying to justify, he was trying to defend, but his justification did more harm than good. It did not even do any good. None. No semblance of good it did at all, other than to almost like agree with those who are accusing Mr. Hassan Bility of some wrongdoing in the past, confirming reports and investigations, with findings that are damning of Mr. Bility's character. What DeLon said is more like confirming or agreeing to all those things that have been said in the past about Musa Bility. So he did not have Hassan here. He helped to persecute. In fact, I think he persecuted Hassan the way Saul persecuted Christians in the past.
Wow, that's all right, Mr. C. We are still waiting for Mr. Bility to join. So that's what. So we're going to move ahead with some of the things that we wanted to ask Mr. Bility, and wherever he meets us, we can go there. All right. Mr. Bility has been a businessman, and I don't want to say it's normal, but most of the time, business people are involved into all kinds of things for good or for bad, right? So there have been some things that Mr. Bility has been involved with. We cannot independently verify any of these as true or false, but he has been in the news. Let's go through the series of places where he has been in the news, starting with the RIA saga involving the former RIA boss, Madam Ellen Cochran.
Yep. Then
Musa Bility, former chairman of the board of directors of the Roberts International Airport, and Ellen Cochran, former managing director of the Liberia Airport Authority, threaded near invectives and allegations of malfeasance against Wanda Neto. At the end of it, in this, they said, if you go down to make matter worse, there are reports that she is yet to receive an indictment. So both of them were indicted by the government of Liberia for misapplication of funds at RIA.
Yeah, it is clear that, and if you look at the report, let me see the date here, dated 12 November 2013. The news article is reporting, or the news article is saying, Mr. Hassan Bility and Eddie Cochran, then head of the LAA, they call it, got into some inventives. They were at it, going at each other, insulting each other for the most part, because of what? Corruption. There was a malfeasance that took place that accused the two of them. I believe there was, the government supposed to bring, and there was an indictment, and they never went to court at a certain point. But again, the crumbs of it here is that when Mr. Hassan Bility served as one of the leaders at the airport at the time, there was report that he was involved into some form of corruption. There was this allegation, and that the government of Liberia was after them, even though the government did not follow through. Ellen Cochran, who escaped Liberia, and she came to the United States, and there's no further information to our knowledge as to how it all ended. So that is another case against the character of Mr. Hassan Bility, and it's one of the reasons why people are saying he can't be chairman.
Right.
I don't know why.
And people reach out to us and say, well, this man is involved in this and that. And the next thing that Mr. Bility was involved in, has reported in the news, and again, we didn't know how this ended, was that he wrote bad checks to a fellow Nigerian businessman in the tune of 250,000 each, meaning 500,000, because two checks, 250,000, and those were bad checks that Mr. Bility wrote. So there were reports that Nigeria, the Nigerian government, filed the case, and even there were Interpol police warrant for his arrest. That story came out to be false, that there was no arrest issue for Mr. Bility, but we can say it was reported that he was involved. He was accused of issuing bad checks in the tune of 500,000 to a Nigerian business counterpart.
And according to the article, Dennis, he was in business with, quote unquote, this Nigerian businessman who has sent 9,667 metric tons of fuel, or gasoline, or petroleum product, I should say, because I don't know which one, to Liberia for Mr. Bility to sell. And so Mr. Bility, after selling this product, needed to pay back this Nigerian man. And they, according to the article, he was not paying on time. And these are the things we wanted Mr. Bility to be able to clarify, because these are all reports against his character. And we really, really will appreciate if he can join us back so that he can provide his side of the story. So according to the story, he attempted to pay, and he wrote two checks, 250,000 each. And that the checks, according to the report, came from the GT Bank to this Nigerian man, but then the check were bad check. And so the investigation decided to trace whether those checks actually came from the GT Bank. And when they went there, there was no record there whatsoever that the checks were issued from the GT Bank. Now, the IG at the time was Gregory Coleman, who was the head of the police. And there was report that the Interpol in Nigeria had contacted the police authority there in Liberia so as to help with the investigation and even an arrest. But the police chief came at the time and said, well, if this is true, we'll find out with the Central Bank of Liberia. So the Central Bank of Liberia, but then Mr. Bility said, well, it can't be the Central Bank of Liberia. It has to be the GT Bank that I have these accounts with that issued the check. But long story short, they said the checks were bad. And that is why we know, according to the report. And Mr. Bility will be able to provide more clarity if he were here. But unfortunately, he's not yet now.
And we're trying to reach Mr. Bility if he can come back. And then this big one on the FIFA Ethics Committee. Focus on Liberia. We have been doing our own digging to see what really this is all about. There's a FIFA probe into Mr. Bility. And that's the news that is on everybody's lips. So what we have done is we've gone on we have dug out the decision that was rendered against Mr. Musa Bility, and this is something that we want you to know. And we're going to ask specific questions from that document as to what happened, all the allegations against him, what happened. But the main thing here is FIFA probes Liberian corruption, finding fake docs, forged signatures and a battling Musa Bility.
And then this is dated 21st December of 2017. The author of this article is a gentleman by the name Paul Nicholson, and the article reads, December 21, after months of damning stories and rumors surrounding financial corruption in the Liberian FA and its controversial president, Musa Bility, the investigatory chamber of FIFA's Ethics Committee has stepped in to investigate. Other reports are that their findings are explosive. Bility called a meeting yesterday informing first and second division clubs that the FIFA was carrying out an audit and that the FIFA ethics has sent a 3-man delegation to investigate. He told the club that LFA treasurer Jala Kova had admitted sending fixed account documentations to FIFA. Bility said that he had not signed the documentation sent to FIFA, but his signature had been forged. Kove had reportedly admitted to sending $600,000 to Bility's wife, Denise, for their Stonehaven guest house, and more than $100,000 to his son, Siddiqui Bility. Both sums, talking about sums of money, were from an LFA account. Bility said his signatures were forged and did not authorize the money. So this is a damning report there, and we want to do justice to Mr. Bility, and we just hope he can come, because this is a new article quoting the investigation that was conducted by the FIFA Ethics Committee. This is damning, and we hope he can come back to clarify that.
And we wanted to go to the source, right? We had focused on, like, bro, we want to see the report ourselves. So we went on the FIFA website, and you will see that these are the decisions that have been notified by the Independent Ethics Committee. And the one you see circled there at the bottom, at your bottom right, is that the decision against Mr. Musa Hassan Bility. So when Bility comes back, we're going to go step by step into this particular report that you see circled on your screen there. This is from the FIFA website that you yourself can go. It's a 45-page document, and we're going to go right into it. Mr. C, it's important that we go to the source. I've heard and listened to Mr. Bility and other platforms saying the reason why. But as we can see over there, we have a list of other documents. We did not go through all of them, but we go through some of them. And this is the business of the FIFA Ethics Committee, to do these kind of investigations and publish their findings. Mr. Bility's, or this decision against him, is just one of them.
And then I can't emphasize enough how detailed this report is, and I encourage every Liberian to go and read. And I'm not saying because there's a report Mr. Bility is entirely guilty, but it is a fact that the FIFA investigative team, based on their finding, came down with their ruling that Mr. Bility was wrong in the way he had managed the fund, and so they had charged him with financial misappropriation. And it's a detailed report. And then it's before we show the page that, talk about some of the funding, let me share the entire report just for people to see, the cover page of it. And when they see, so that they can know that, oh yeah, it is this report that Focus on Liberia was able to obtain from the website of the the LFA. So why I get that read, then is you can go to something else why I get that read.
Right. And this to find that report, we can give you the link later on. You go on the FIFA website, you go to the Ethics Committee, and you are able to go through the decisions of the Ethics Committee. Okay. And then you can have that. But for now, here is the decision of the Adjudicatory Chamber of the FIFA Ethics Committee. And this is taken 12 February 2019. And you could see this is the report.
Yeah, you see, Mr. Yeah, you see there in the case of Mr. Hassan Bility, Musa Hassan Bility, the FBR there representing Liberia. This is the adjudicatory reference number of the case. And, this is the entire report. Then it told you how many pages left. It's a well-detailed report that captures everything that happened in the LFA and in Mr. Bility's role as an executive of FIFA for the 8+ years that he was with the football governing body. And then let's get to the one that has to do with the Ebola Fund.
Yeah,
let me put it on the screen so you can read it.
Before the Ebola Fund, you see the first part of the report talk about back and forth. You know, it talks about this was not a one-day thing. So at some point they would say this, Mr. Bility would say, hey, I can't come now, I have to do this. Oh no, the report, your witnesses, you did not. So, you know, so the first part of the report goes back and forth as to how they arrived at all these findings. It went back and forth, giving Mr. Bility an opportunity to defend himself. He went to court. For example, you have 4 lawyers representing you, but you will only have 2 to speak on your behalf. Those kind of things the first report covered. And then it came to 2 major areas, the Ebola Fund and then the funds to renovate the Anthony Tottenham Stadium. Let's start with the Ebola Fund. FIFA gave LFA money for Ebola and say, do this, do X, Y, Z for this fund. So it says, in February 2015, FIFA allocated US $50,000 to the LFA in support of an initiative purportedly arranged with NGO to provide Ebola relief to communities in Liberia. The former General Secretary of LFA, now deceased Mr. Afonso Ama, and the General Secretary of the NGO purportedly signed a partnership memorandum of understanding between the LFA and the NGO dated 10 February 2015. Okay. Attached to the MOU was a schedule setting out how the funds were going to be intended to disburse. The funds in partnership with the NGO, they were set up in the MOU, and it was on the basis that LFA remitted the funds. An amount of $50,000 were received by the LFA on 20th February in its respective bank account, and a withdrawal of USD $44,500 was made on January 28, 2015.
Yep. So there you have it. And then basically what it's saying there was that, okay, they call it, I think, FIFA 11. There was because, you know, representing the 11 players on the team, Ebola were reaching help in Liberia. So as a football, you know, governing body decided to contribute just as other institutions were doing around the world trying to chip in. If you remember, Dennis, even Cristiano Ronaldo took part in raising funds for the fight against Ebola. So FIFA, having raised some money, sent this initial amount, $50,000 to Liberia, and Mr. Bility, having been the head at the time, was in his position to be the one to make sure that the money was delivered or used for the intended purpose. And so there was an MOU, how the money needed to be disbursed. But according to the report, the memorandum of understanding agreed upon specifying how the funds needed to be disbursed was not followed. And interestingly, when they interviewed other officials at LFA, they said they had no knowledge. The only persons that had knowledge of the funds, and not only this fund, but some other funds that have been disbursed, were Mr. Hassan Bility and the guy who happened to be the treasurer, one Jala, were the only person that had knowledge. Now, it is the very Jala at some point who Mr. Bility himself, because he said that his signature was first, the article we read earlier. So he said Mr. Jala was the one who forged the signature. In this report, when they interviewed Mr. Jala admitted that he told Bility that, look, this thing you're telling us to do, that to create fake documents, it will come to bite us. And they went ahead and did it anyway. So Jala was able to made, unfortunately, at some point in the article, Mr. Jala has passed. I don't know whether he died from Ebola, because it was during the Ebola time. And something in continuation of what you just read, Dennis, let me read this part here. All right. And it said that, furthermore, no evidence exists to attest that LFA requested the approval of FIFA for, or at least informed it of, the distribution of the Ebola grant directly by the association to the community without the cooperation of the NGO, and in disrespect of the MOU signed. So there was an MOU signed. There was an NGO that was contracted to carry on the work. According to the report, at some point, there was a decision made, and the report is accusing Mr. Bility of being the one making the decision to go without this NGO that they have signed a memorandum of understanding with. In other words, it was like, hey, we're not doing business with you, even though FIFA had knowledge of you being the implementing partner, we're going solo. And as you read there, the funds there was a withdrawal in for the 4,500. That is almost 99% of the money that was withdrawn in one day.
Yeah. And so we are still awaiting Mr. Bility to come and answer the question. Last but not the least in that report is the ATS renovation. There was money being given to the LFA to renovate the Anthony Totma Stadium. What happened to that money? So let's get something from that LFA, the ATS. It says here, the audit report prepared by the LFA auditors in relation to the year ended 31 December 2015 made the following commentary in relation to the stadium renovation that took place that year. 363,625 was spent from FIFA Financial Assistance Program. 3 quotations were received from the following construction companies: Company 3, Company 4, and Company 5, all of whom were stationed in Montserrado County. A mutual contract was signed between Liberia LFA and Company 5 to carry on the renovation. In other words, there were 3, among these 3 companies that bidded, 1 was accepted. However, the supporting document provided by the LFA for this transaction contained numerous inconsistencies that suggest that the payments were not made to Company 5 in their entirety, that there was no tender process, and that the accounting documentation prepared by the LFA's finance team has been forged in order to disguise the fact.
Then these are serious finding. And again, we want to remind you, there was this report from the LFA ethics committee, and they call it adjudicatory report or adjudicatory chamber. They took months to conduct this investigation, a well-detailed report that is being atomized completely. If you read it and go on the LFA website, and you'll be able to see it. And we also want to point out, like Dennis and I showed you earlier, the one circle here is the report against Mr. Hassan Bility. And in the report, at some point, Mr. Hassan Bility is more than trying to say, no, I didn't do all these things. He tried to provide explanation to the contrary of this report. But the point I'm trying to make here is Mr. Bility is not the only one the FIFA has been able to investigate, because sometimes Mr. Bility said that it was because he had gone against a decision of LFA, of FIFA, sorry. That was why, more so, that he was trying to be singled out with all this investigation. I don't know how true that is, Danny, but you see here, those watching us, you see the PDF file. These are all separate reports, and each of these reports carry the name of individuals who were being investigated. So Mr. Hassan Bility is not the only one who has been investigated by FIFA. FIFA has always investigated or continue to investigate individuals who are in charge of making financial decisions or implementing its projects and programs in respective countries. So we just want you to know that this is a serious report and findings against Mr. Bility. We can't understand how we could have just lost him in this manner when he could have this very unique opportunity to provide his own explanations and also answer questions from us and the viewers. Dennis?
Yeah, and let's be clear that Mr. Bility responded, or he has a position that he, in that same report, it carries Mr. Bility's position, what he said happened. And we went through. We just want to give you a little snippet of it. It's in his position dated 4 February 2019, as well as during the hearing of 12 February 2019, Mr. Bility made a series of allegations in relation to the above 2 charges, which can be summarized as follows. Concerning the FIFA Ebola grant, Mr. Bility said the grant was used legally and in accordance with its intended purpose, that is for Ebola relief efforts in affected Liberian communities, as established by the contemporaneous document evidence. and the final report has demonstrated otherwise. And if you go down that report, Mr. Bility did not receive any FIFA fund at any point in time and has not personally used the money. So you could see, so on count 95, or if you look at the report and go to 95, you're going to see Mr. Bility's position. And I don't know if you saw in that report if Mr. Bility made the charge that he's making now. That is, hey, it's because I challenged you. This is why you are getting back to me. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't see that in the report. It may be there, it may not be there, but he said this to a reporter. It was captured in one of the newspapers that we just read and displayed on the screen. That's when he said that, and it is a true statement. Mr. Bility said that he was being pursued or because he has opposed a FIFA decision in about football in Africa, and something he felt that was not the right way to proceed. And he said, well, maybe he said this is the reason why they are coming after him. Why would he try to oppose the big guys? A small guy like that would want to do that. I mean, that's why he said. Dennis, let's bring in some comments.
You're right, and that is very common, for the big guys to come down hard on you because you are trying to be a deviant. Okay, you are not falling in line. So that's also a possibility for people to do that. And we want Mr. Bility had also said in other areas that I've listened to him that, hey, this is a fellow Liberian. And if you look, Mr. Bility have really gone far in this whole FIFA thing. He held some prominent positions in the FIFA, and probably the first Liberian to do so. I don't have the facts, but the first Liberian to do so. So he was appalled that his fellow Liberians were not watching his back, were not talking for him when FIFA tried to fry him because he stood up to them.
Yeah, he was saying that FIFA is trying to fry me because are trying to stand up to them. And FIFA as an institution too has been on the media periscope for corruption. I know the US came against the FIFA for corruption. Corruption has been in the FIFA, and yes, Bility trying to raise objection to the big guys who got the money, and so he's saying they are going against him. But what is true too, though, Dennis, is that there are times an individual will go wrong, and because they are coming after them, will try to cry baby or try to say, hey, or play victim, say, hey, they are coming after me because I said this. That is a possibility, just as it is possible that, well, because you the small boy try to challenge, we're going to fry you in the frying pan. Let's look at some comments quickly, brother.
And that's why we want Mr. Bility to please come back and kind of clarify, let us hear the position. So definitely let us go to the position, the comments, lots and lots of comments here. And we want to appreciate all. Okay, Mr. Bility is coming back. We maybe start to sing hallelujah here.
Yes, we are happy. We are happy. We are happy that Mr. Bility is back with us. Let him make some adjustment here. And folks, once he makes the necessary adjustment, we will be able to bring him in. This is a very serious matter. We want to give this gentleman the opportunity to, get his side of the story to our listeners here. Dennis?
Dada Logan say, Musa, this thing has nothing to do with ethnicity or tribe. I will support you as my country or countryman if your integrity is clean. Sarah Dopo, I don't even, okay. Think going back and forth here. Darling Warwood, Musa Bility needs to build a church or build it. Appoint himself as bishop. That is not. Ellen Paul said, but Funati Kofa has criminal record and he was elected deputy speaker of the House. So why condemn Bility? Judge Galakpai asked Mr. Bility to explain what really happened at FIFA. I mean his involvement with FIFA. We got all those here packaged. And as soon as we get Mr. Bility, we will add him. Mr. Bility is coming on gradually.
Yeah.
Bility, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Right. When you were gone, let's start with Mr. Abraham Darius Delon, the one Menensi has the darling of the Liberty Party and the proverbial light in the Senate. Mr. Delon referred to you as Saul being changed to Paul. I don't know if we are reading too much into this comment, but Those of us who are students of the Bible, Saul was very notorious. He has a very bad background who was changed. Is Mr. DeLong trying to equate you in that sense that the allegations or the criticism against you, they are true, but that you have repented? Is that what he's trying to say? Your comment?
Well, look, I spoke to Mr. DeLong, and Mr. DeLong said he was not referring to me. He put it on his Facebook. He cannot be referring to me. So I would take it as that and move on with it. I'm not a Christian. I don't know what Saul did, what Paul did.
I can explain.
I'm not Paul, I'm not Saul, and I don't know these two personalities. But
let me bring you up to speed on that.
He was not referring to me, so
Saul was very notorious for killing
and
Christians.
I believe him.
And he changed because God he met Jesus, and Jesus said, "I'm the one you are fighting against." So he got blind. He was prayed for by Ananias, sent by God, and so he changed. He made a 180-degree turnaround. He repented, and now Saul became Paul, and he wrote most part of the Bible, especially the New Testament. So what Mr. DeLong is saying here is, yes, Mr. Bility was as bad as Saul, but he has now been transformed. He has changed. That's what he's saying. So this is your partisan saying this. So we find that a little troubling. What's your take?
Mr. Bility? Oh, we seem to still be having some connection problem there. Mr. Bility, can you stay here? All right, then there's still some connection issues there. Let's continue with our comments while we wait for a better connection. Hawa Mesga, putting what? How are you trying to say that? Put it, take water inside. Maybe that's somebody's name. Where did I collect money? Please publish the transcript. You guys are. Well, this is not in connection with what we're talking here. Let me get it off the screen. Let me bring this one in. This one is from Afro-Vakin, Sarah Dopo. So this is the difference between CPP and sedition. They can speak against ills in their party.
Tipos PK Dempster said the Facebook talk show hosts are taking this DeLong comment out of context. Mr. Dempster, I studied the Bible. Saul to Paul is very clear, but you can give us what you think it is.
This one is from Benfin. My dear brothers, is there a number to call in to contribute?
Ben, post your comments. We'll read your comments.
So we're still making effort here to get Mr. Bility back in. Let's see whether all is well at his end.
Mr. Bility, can you hear us?
Mr. Bility, can you hear us now? Mr. Bility, can you hear us? Yeah, then there's Snats. Let's continue with our comments here.
Musa Fatima Kroman said, because we Liberians are biased, there are others that are more criminal than Bility, but they can call them criminals because they are their kinsmen. Teddy Yankun, the Mandingo leader should face the reality rather than to use tribalism every time when they are involved in unscrupulous act. Cotton Edge, that's our man Pokpa, the convicted criminal claim. Oh no, the chairmanship of Liberty Party, a political, I don't know who you are calling convicted criminal. Vamandi Donso, Benina Ure was a chairman of CPP and no one said fine, but why Musa Bility now?
Yep, that's a fair point there.
Focus on Labro, you got to tell the comedians on here. I think everyone is following the trend. Their job is to attack and be low. Nice try.
Let me see this one from Donzo. Can someone show me one person in Liberia who is non-corrupt? So the person is basically saying everybody should shut up, everybody corrupt. So why talk about this?
Yeah.
And
The
this one
so-called
is
CPP is a recycle of criminality in Liberia. I don't know what Liberians think of this so-called. That's how the people are called. So you can say so-called. Darling, Warwood, Dennis, and as soon as you can tell an old woman, let's sleep so I can destroy. Oh no.
no, we
Quiet
don't
on these
tolerate that.
comments until Bility returns to the show, or he will not return. No, Bility is not, we're not setting any trap here. We are reading what we have here, and Mr. Bility is trying to get back. We are having some technical issue, that's all. However, again, everybody will protect their own that exhibit bad principles. Story of Liberia. Vamandi is, if the law is corruption-free, why he associated himself with criminal group called CPP. Kafuma Soare, there are folks that have commented the most gruesome crimes that committed, I think, the most gruesome crimes in Liberia than Mr. Bility, but yet they are being glorified as heroes and are serving in the Liberian government. Double standards, travel card.
Yeah, from Jackie Sayer, yeah. The rot of our morality is deep in the country. We now measure corruption by degrees. That is, this person is bad, but this other person is worse. A matter of how much our morality can we accept, sir, for the country.
All right. So we can, it seems that we can have Mr. Bility or Mr. C. So we will be ending here. We just start to bring in a few more comments, and then we'll be ending our broadcast. If we have some other time, Mr. Bility can come in, and we can do justice to the issue, or give Mr. Bility the opportunity to respond. Cotton Ayers, who's from Grand Bazaar, says Senator Yombly Kanga cannot continue to destroy the system. Yombly has now facilitated the ascendancy of a convicted criminal. Mr. Cotton Ayers, you keep calling Mr. Bility a convicted criminal. I don't know which court convicted him. We don't want to kind of make those kind of leap.
Mr. Bility is still making effort here.
Mr. Bility is making frantic efforts to come back. So whoever thinks that he's not coming back, you are not saying the truth.
It helps, but it won't look clearer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once we can hear you, that would be okay, Mr. Bility. And thanks so much for making the effort to join us. Welcome back, folks. Mr. Bility is here. He really wants to make his side clear. Welcome back. I know Dennis was asking you earlier about the comment Dylan made. Many people see it as trying to come to your defense. Others see it as he's trying to justify. But you said, well, that's his comment. You talked to him about it. You have moved on. So let us move on and not dwell on it. The reason why all the noise, all these reactions are all over the place is because of reports of your involvement in, what some people consider a misappropriation, like the term used by the FIFA Ethics Committee. So let's start with the issue that took place at the LAA. Yeah. All right, let's start with that one. There was reports at some point that there was misappropriation of funds at the time you served at that institution. What is your side of the story?
Along with Madam Ellen Cochran, who was the head of RIA at that time. Go ahead, Mr. Bility.
All right, so I was appointed as chairman of the board of LAA in early 2012. Madam Cochran was seconded by was recommended to the president of Liberia by the U.S. ambassador at the time, and came with high, with flying colors from Harvard, with all of the accolades, and she came to the LAA. I, chairman of the board, I never interfere with the function of the LAA. I was traveling with 2 other government officials to, as president of LFA, I was traveling to Gabon. And at the airport, Madam Cockrell came to me and said, Mr. Chairman, you are not going to be here, but I'm working on the payroll. I have not determined the exact amount of the payroll, and that we need to do some cleaning up at the airport. So I need you to sign 2 checks for me, and then when you come, I'll make the report to you. I said, okay. So I signed the 2 checks and took a photo of the 2 checks, and then gave her the checks and said, when I come back, please make the report. I just want to make sure that we know what the check was used for. When I came back after 1 week, I called her to make the report. She did not make the report. After 2 weeks, she didn't make the report. I started feeling something was wrong. So I went to the bank myself and requested a statement of the LAA account from that particular bank, LBDR. When I got the statement, I realized that Madam Cochran had moved some money to her personal account and to some other account that I was not aware of. I, as chairman of the board, was the one who brought this to the attention of the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Justice. The government of Liberia did not investigate anything to find out. I, Musa Bility, I'm the one who reported Ellen Cochran. And for some mysterious reason, the then Solicitor General said that Ellen Cochran had run away, and she was told that unless everyone involved in LAA will be indicted, the U.S. government will not bring her. And she indicted me. I felt bad, I felt injured. She indicted me. I went to court. She had no proof whatsoever that I was in any way involved. All the evidence pointed to the fact that I reported the case, and the court dismissed the case. Now, if someone is indicted, as generally, you're please tell the people that indictment is an accusation.
Yeah.
It's not an admittance or a final judgment. It's an allegation. When you're accused from the government perspective, then they indict you. You have to go. I was indicted by and defended myself. They did not prove anything against me, and the case was dismissed.
Okay.
So, fellow Liberians, I thought that's what we have the justice system for. When you do something, or you didn't do something, you prove yourself. And for me, that's the end of that story. I don't know what could I have done to prevent someone from taking action against me. I couldn't.
Right. Mr. Bility, quickly, because we don't want the issue. Quickly, do you know exactly the checks you were writing, what they were for? The checks, the 2 checks you signed?
Yes, she said it was for payroll and she did not know the exact amount. So I signed 2 blank checks and gave it to her. In return, I pictured those checks, and as managing director of the place, I had no reason to doubt that she was going to do something else with it. But that's what she did, unfortunately.
Okay.
Fortunately,
Mr. Bility, I know you said you were clear. You were indicted. You went to court, and the court cleared you of no wrongdoing. But my question is, did you at some point feel guilty that you had to sign a blank check to this woman, or because she told you that it was intended for payroll, you said, well, just go and write any amount, and you knowing that she could just write more than what she actually needed?
Did you make a mistake?
Yes.
Mr. Bility, did you make a mistake by signing a blank check?
Yes, I did.
All right. Let's
Absolutely.
go
to. And I always said that I made a mistake.
Okay.
I should never have trusted her that much, and that was my fault.
Let's go to the next issue here, that your involvement, and we are bringing this up because when you were elected, these are the things people bring up, so we want to hear your side of the story. That
Please
you wrote
please do.
two bad checks, 250,000 each, to a fellow Nigerian businessman. What's your side of the story?
That's not true. Look, that's not true. There's
But
nobody to tell me that I wrote to. First of all, no, that's not true. That's baloney. That's not.
right. So, Mr. Bility, perhaps these things come with their territory. You are a businessman, right?
When we buy fuel, I do fuel business. I come in. I do fuel business. So therefore, when we buy fuel from people overseas, we don't issue them check. We actually wire money to them. We don't issue check to a company that does not exist in the country. Checks in Liberian, check issue from bank, drawing from accounts in Liberia can only be used in Liberia. So I don't know what they're talking.
Right.
That's
So, but Mr. Bility,
Liberian politics.
according to the article, and we really want to get your side here, and there were about 9,000 plus metric ton that you received from this businessman. Was it something that you bought from him on a credit, and then after selling to pay back his money? Is that what it was?
Or this didn't happen at all?
You see, my brother, I'm a businessman.
Right.
And what the thing we do, we look for people who credit us or who we want to do business with, and they give us goods and we pay them back.
Certainly.
And that's the business that we do. What is the crime in that? I had a choice to do that or to be around like some of the people that are around looking for government jobs and stealing money for Liberian people. I chose to do business. So if I get in the country you are in, the owe time more than they can ever be able to pay as a country.
That's true.
Okay, so debt is not a crime.
Right. No, it's not the issue,
The
Mr.
president
Bility.
of
The issue
Liberia
is
just announced a week ago that the country owes $1.5 billion.
right. So what we're trying to establish is that
if I owe a businessman, maybe he's not happy with me, he gets vexed, but I pay. I don't owe anybody that I have not paid. So what? I'm proud that the only thing that you can say about me is that I owe some. What's about the people who steal it?
no, the owing is not the issue. It's the bad check.
Here.
It's the bad check they were talking about. But let's move on to the FIFA issue.
I just told you that is not possible. I just told you that you cannot issue a check to a foreign company. Again, sometimes I advise that we try our best to investigate possibilities. Fuel business, a little bit of investigation would have told you that nobody pay fuel in this country with check. The suppliers are not Liberian companies. They don't live here. They don't operate here. Companies will avoid doing that because it means that when you receive money in Liberia, you have to pay tax on it. They would never do that. So it's an international business. They supply you, you wire money to them. It's that simple. I would have told you even before, yeah, I'm reading what the bank said. The issue that you are talking is the same thing.
Yeah.
Somebody said, and this is an old story. Somebody said to me that I will issue a GD Bank check. GD Bank wrote a formal letter to say we're not aware of this. It never happened.
Okay.
We didn't receive any check or return any check made joined to this company. It didn't happen.
Let's go to the case from FIFA.
I guess when you become a politician, if there's no story on you, one will be created.
All right, let's go to the story of the FIFA case First, it had appeared in the newspaper just about the time the investigation was going on. I'm sure you might have read this article written by Paul Nicholson. And in the article, he is quoting FIFA investigation revealing that you have, sent 600,000 to your wife, Denise, and about 100,000 to your son or Siriki. And again, we are not breaking this to you to say you did this. It is us trying to say, hey, this was reported. What do you know about it, and what is your side of the story? Well, these allegations that you use FIFA money and send 600,000 to your wife Denise, for use to pay your guest house. They call it a Stonehaven guest house, and 100,000 to your son Siddiqui. What is your side? Is there any truth to this?
And the last part said both somewhere from the LFA account. Mr. Musa Bility said his signature was forged and he didn't authorize any money. What's your side of the story, sir?
Mr. Bility, are you still with us? This connection issue is kind of killing this broadcast. Folks, bear with us. Mr. Bility has made himself available so that we all can get his side of the story. I can report now that unfortunately he fell off. Dennis, okay, he's back. He's back. Let's see that he adjusts here quickly. Let's see that Mr. Bility adjusts so that we can get to these things as quickly as possible, so that we can get his side of the story. So while he's making adjustment, let me read this one from Monk Biko. CDC is corrupt, but we're seeing good things from them. But you guys and your educated people, 12 years corruption, Liberian people, we see nothing. All right. Mr. Bility, can you hear us now? Dennis, I think we have to come to an end on this one, and then try to make some arrangement with Mr. Bility. I don't know why the connection is so bad. I wish Mr. Bility were at a place like his office or so where he may have had a very good connection traveling. Mr. Bility, can you hear us now? Mr. Bility, can you hear us now?
Hello?
Yeah, fine. Mr. Bility, thank you. Did you hear us when we were talking about the report written by Paul Nicholson? Mr. Bility?
Yeah.
And Mr. Bility,
roller coaster. Yeah, you're talking about the FIFA.
And you can call me directly if the connection is still bad.
Yeah, you can send me your phone number on my WhatsApp. So in case
I did,
go out, then I'll call you. Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So on the FIFA thing, look, it is only fair that I continue to explain this until the message gets through. Number one, according to FIFA itself, that this crime was committed by me in 2013. But FIFA could only act against me 48 hours after I have taken FIFA to court in Switzerland for wrongly trying to take over African football. The next day, they banned me and used the ban as an answer to say that this man has no right to sue us because he has been.
Mr. Bility, we advise that you call the number that we sent to you via WhatsApp so that there can be some level of stability with the flow of information. We will appreciate that. So check your WhatsApp if you can stay here us and call us directly so that we can continue and conclude this interview. We have a lot of people watching, and they want to really get your side of your story. So please let's do that. Folks in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. I'm Anthony C. with my partner Dennis Jar, and we are in an exclusive with Mr. Musa Bility. Mr. Bility continues to make effort, but we will advise at this time that he calls our phone number directly so that the flow of communication can be as stable as possible, so that we can get his side of the story. Folks, keep with us here. He will very soon call. He promised to do so. We think he's going to do that. So while my buddy Dennis is working on that, let me bring in some of your comments. So please keep your comments coming. This one is from Donso Musa. Please listen to Mr. Bility and stop there. Oh, Liberian people are using words here. Cutting edge. Musa saves the day by resigning from public office. All right, Mr. Bility is still making effort here, Dennis. Let me see.
So I'm here.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, 6 years on, FIFA comes only, and I repeat, only after I took FIFA to court. But that's besides the fact. FIFA said I took $50,000 from LFA. But since I left, two things has happened. Number one, FIFA has conducted 2 audits, annual audit. The Liberia Football Association has conducted 3 audits, 3. And all those 3 audits show that the Liberia Football Association actually owes me $225,000 instead of the opposite. And that money, therefore, became something that I waived. To the Liberia Football Association. And Liberia Football Association, in return, which I will send you tonight, wrote me an official letter thanking me for waiving this $225,000. That is for an entity that I am told that I took $50,000 from. I think that's bizarre. But anyway, it is in court. And I challenge it, wait for it. But FIFA, what I also want everyone to realize, that all the individuals who made this allegation against me have been removed either in jail or have been permanently removed from football. Discredited completely. I'm still here. So how can you, it is difficult. Some Liberians are pretending as though the credibility of FIFA is the best in the world. Hello, isn't this the organization where the entire agent was arrested and incarcerated? So what moral credibility you think that they have, that when they say or allege something against someone, your compatriot, you assume that that is correct? It's very sad, but I guess that's what we found ourselves in.
Okay, Mr. Bility, we're on the FIFA website, and the decision against you here is dated, I think, in 2019.
Exactly, that's what I said. But
right.
The allegation is said to have been committed in 2013. How do you investigate something and 6 years later you come with a judgment?
The report said the investigation dated a little back. Is that true? And investigation is a process.
But my brother, all I can tell you is that it's my war against FIFA war.
Right.
Okay.
And unless it is proven in a court of competent jurisdiction, it is what it is. What can I do?
Right. So let's go into some specifics of what FIFA is accusing you of. Mr. Sia, you were about to say something?
Yeah, because I think somewhere I read Mr. Bility made a decision that he was going to take the mantle to appeal the decision or the findings of FIFA, and I want to know whether he did that. Mr. Bility, did you
Absolutely.
appeal the finding? And has there been an outcome?
Play.
Go ahead, Mr. Bility. We didn't get your response. Go ahead.
I did. Absolutely. The case is currently before the Court of Arbitration for Sport.
How long was this, and how soon do you expect an outcome?
I don't control the court, but I immediately filed when FIFA made a decision. But I guess the virus, the pandemic has delayed it because FIFA keep asking for postponement. They keep asking for postponement. So
let's go into
we'll get there.
Let's go into some specific of the of what FIFA is accusing you of. Number one is the Ebola money, right?
That's the 50,000.
Yeah, the 50,000. According to them, the amount was received by the LFA for 50,000, and on 20th February, there was a withdrawal of 44,500 on 28th of February. What is the story concerning this FIFA money?
First of all, for 8 years that I stay at LFA, I've never benefited a dime. $0. That Ebola money, I actually added 24,000 onto that. And then before the LFA set out to do what they did with it, I was not a part of the usage. I am the president of the Liberia Footballers. I was the president at the time, but it doesn't mean that I don't physically run the place. There's a treasurer, there's a secretary general, there's a vice president.
What exactly happened to the money, to the Ebola money? You say you didn't know what was being done because you were not, you didn't know the detail.
It was used for. They use it for. The FIFA was very specific as to what the money should be used for, and that's what it was used for.
Right.
I was not a beneficiary to it. I don't receive that withdrawal they have there. You know, it is so bizarre. That withdrawal there, it doesn't state that the check was written to me. Right. I mean, how do you take a whole institution and assume that?
But Mr. Bility, are you a signatory to the account? I was asking if you were a signatory to the account. Mr. Bility, were you a signatory to the account?
I'm not getting you clearly.
Yeah, Mr. Bility, that's why we are advised to call the number so that we can get this. Yeah, were you a signatory to the account? Because at some point, according to the FIFA report, they said that there was a memorandum of understanding between the LFA. Yeah, I was just saying they said there was a memorandum of understanding between the LFA and a non-governmental organization as to how the process and procedure for the disbursement of the fund to implement the project. And that at some point, you made a decision not to go with that non-governmental organization in violation of the MOU, and the money was suspended. And that is why they are holding you accountable for. Are they not telling the truth?
Well, first of all, I am a signatory to the account, but I did not even sign that particular check because I was not in the LFA. I was busy doing something else. Secondly, we informed FIFA that the organization with which we assigned this agreement to do this work had ran into trouble, and most of their people were catching the virus, and therefore we were going to use different methods. FIFA okay, and those are documented. And when the report was made, not a dime was reported to have been paid to me. Okay, I mean, it is such a, but it will come.
We just lost Mr. Bility. And Dennis, before you come in, he just said that he had justly earned himself about $25,000 and that he had waived that money to FIFA. And he also said that he did not benefit any dime from FIFA. So he has been working free all this time? Is that what Mr. Bility wants us to believe? I really want to know that this man who, because of love for football, maybe, that, yeah, Mr. Bility, it's good that you are here. I was just asking, wondering as well, that you said you have to give away or waive about $25,000 and that you did not benefit a dime from FIFA. So were you working free all these years when you were with them? Is that what you want us to believe? Mr. Bility, did you get my question?
Unfortunately, yeah. Unfortunately, you have to repeat the question because I did not hear
I said
anything.
we were listening to you, and you said that there was money that you earned justly, about $25,000, and correct me on the figure if I'm wrong, that you have to waive to FIFA. That's one. And two, you said for the time you were working for FIFA, you didn't even benefit anything. So I'm asking a question. So you were this guy working for free, and is that why you want us to believe? And you have to give away $25,000 to a multi-million-dollar or sport empire? You want me to believe that?
No, I did not work for FIFA, and again, it is total misinformation. FIFA said that I took the money from the LFA.
Okay.
I did not work for FIFA. I was not working for FIFA.
Okay.
And under the Liberia Football Association structure, the president of the FA is not a full-time employee, so he doesn't take pay.
Okay.
So I did not take pay. I'm serious.
Yeah, Mr. Bility. So let's go back to the Ebola money. Even you were part of this. You are signature to the account. The money was withdrawn. That tells me that you know that it was withdrawn. Are there any records that the Ebola money was spent, on the thing it was intended to be spent on? Are there records, and there are people that can prove this?
Yes, there are records. It was proven that I didn't sign a check. In fact,
you are the boss.
If FIFA has an allegation, no, I'm not the only signatory. I mean, if I'm not there, the other people can sign, and I didn't sign. And they know that I didn't sign.
Even though you don't sign, but you know exactly specifically what it's supposed to be used for, and you make sure it's used for that purpose.
I was aware.
Okay.
I was aware of everything that happened to it. I'm just being very specific to you because they did not. Apparently, they did not have a case against the LFA. They had a case against my person, and the reason why they did that is because it was my person that took them to court. So they wanted to attack me as a person. So they could not have indicted the LFA.
But Mr. Bility, some of those witnesses who said they didn't have any knowledge. It was just between you and the treasurer. They too came from LFA. Wow. Were they trying to throw you under the bus too, or were they siding with FIFA?
See that?
Those who testify against you that they had nothing to do with this money. They too were in the LFA. Why would they choose to testify against you?
Nobody testified against me. You want a record? Nobody testified. Nobody said.
According to the investigation of FIFA here, they said they talked to folks who said that it was just you and Jala who had knowledge of LFA money. Is that not true? It's in the report here. We have it.
No. They didn't. This person was out of the LFA. Was the person who was making the allegation against me. The executive committee and the people, nobody said in the LFA that I personally took the money. No. Nobody
could have said the report challenged the credibility of the witnesses, and you wanted to produce your own witnesses. How did that go?
It went well. I mean, it was costly, but it went well. I produced sufficient witnesses, and I know that when that case comes out, I will be a free man. I know that. I mean, I didn't do anything.
All right.
Let's go to
Ladies and gentlemen, and folks in cyberspace, focus on Liberia. We have been in an exclusive interview with Mr. Musa Bility, who is the newly elected chairman of the opposition Liberty Party. His election as chairman of that party kind of sparked reactions in the political landscape, and we thought to ask him first. We interviewed him on his election. He gave his answers, and we have been talking to him on allegations of corruption that have been reported in the news, and some investigation being reported also, and we have been getting his side of the story. Dennis, what you got?
Right. Just want us to talk briefly about the allegations concerning the ATS renovation. That the audit report prepared by LFA auditors in relation to this year, it talk about renovation of the ATS, that there were 3 companies there. Company 5 that won the bid. They say, however, supporting documentation provided by LFA for this transaction contain numerous inconsistencies that suggest that the payment were not paid to Company 5 that's supposed to be doing the work in their entirety, and there was no tender process, and that the accounting documentation prepared by LFA's finance team had been forged in order to disguise the fact. Mr. Bility, briefly on the ATS money.
There was no money for FIFA for 8 years money. FIFA just, look, let me tell you something. FIFA came into Liberia to look for something on Musa Bility. FIFA never gave me a dime to renovate the ATS in the first place. I wanted this to be very clear. They never gave me a dime. Through our marketing system, we found our own sponsors and raised our own money. But again, at the level where I am making decisions that will affect them, when they realize that I was giving a tough time, the only place they could have found, the only way they could have done is to concoct something against me in an administration that I was no longer in. I had left 2 years earlier. So, if you read that story, it can say you realize that only 50,000 that they say FIFA money, but there's no other place where they say FIFA money. Now, only that 50,000 that belonged to them. The rest of the money was our own money. We raised it, not from the government of Liberia, not from anybody else, from the Liberia Football Association. We raised our own money. We entered into our own sponsorship everywhere. They were just looking for me because I had attached them internationally, and they were being embarrassed, and they wanted to shut me down.
Mr. Bility, basically what he's saying is that because you have highlighted the flaws of FIFA now send auditors in Liberia to audit LFA, that you had a leadership role, trying to conspire against you and tarnish your reputation so that you will be silent. And so you are accusing, let me learn, Mr. Bility, you are accusing FIFA of trying to assassinate your character, and this is what basically it is. Is that why I'm hearing from you, sir?
Correct, but let me lay the basis again. FIFA did not audit me. An audit means somebody goes, and you know what an audit is. They didn't audit me. They didn't present any document to me to say, here is what we found, give us your response. They didn't do that. FIFA has an assessment team that comes every year, and they just came and did their regular assessment. There was no audit. Audit is a professional undertaking that requires the auditor to sit with the auditee, and they go through documents that they are going to review. They review together. They go and make their finding, and then submit to the auditee. The auditee responds to their finding, and then the auditor comes with a final auditor statement with any disclaimer thereof. They didn't do that. That document that you are reading there is not an audit report. And I'm sure you can confirm that it's not an audit report.
It's a decision, not an audit report.
Exactly. They didn't do an audit. I dare people to show that they did it. They didn't audit me. They didn't even speak to me.
Mr. Bility, what are people in the LFA? Mr. Bility, what are people in the LFA, especially those who work with you, saying publicly about what this FIFA decision? Anybody coming to your defense?
I don't need anybody defense. June last year, LFA came out to tell me thank you for waiving $225,000. What more you wanted to say? You wanted to be in this is politics. That's what it is. I told you. So the Liberia Association is not a political institution.
All right.
Thank you.
So it cannot bring itself into politics, but that's what it is. I'm ready for this. I'm prepared for it. It will come. I will answer it. I remain very focused. I think it would be okay. Liberty Party will be a better party. I will scare it the way I see fit, and that the Liberian people will make a judgment based on that.
Thank you, Mr. Bility. We want you to conclude with this. We appreciate your time here, and we definitely want to have you back to talk more, especially about the Liberty Party, the CPP in 2023. But let's end with this. I know you took up the party. What kind of Liberty Party do we expect to see going forward, especially as we go to 2023? The collaboration with the CPP, and how you hope to weather this storm to stabilize the party in the midst of all these reactions kicking against your chairmanship or criticizing your chairmanship.
I'm not to. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. We can hear you now.
I'm not stranger to criticism. I appreciate that. But for me, about 18 months ago, I set out that I wanted to be chairman of Liberty Party. But I wanted a reformed Liberty Party, a revised constitution, a reconciled institution. To the extent that we could, we have succeeded in that. We have a new constitution now. We are generally reconciled. We have some small issues to deal with. I think we will deal with it. My focus now is to expand the party, to move it outside of belt and take it into northern Liberia and try to get into Nimba, Bon, and Lofa, and try to get as many partisans as we can, and then grow the party in the CPP, and reaffirm our commitment, the other party's commitment to the CPP. That we remain a part of the CPP, that we remain committed to the CPP, and that the Liberty Party will be the last political party to leave the CPP. And I make the promise as the chairman of the Liberty Party on behalf of myself, my political leader, and my executive committee.
Well, Mr. Musa Bility, sir, in the midst of the difficulty staying connected, you stay with us. We appreciate the effort you made to provide clarification or to give your side on these numerous reports and allegations against your character. We focus on Liberia. I want to say thank you for making that effort and giving your side of the story. We think we have given the Liberian people that are listeners the opportunity to listen to two sides of the issue, and now they can be the judge, and we can't thank you enough. This is my final question to you. The CPP, you are accused of not having a plan. Now you are a full-fledged leader in that CPP. You had now one of the major political parties. You said it didn't have a plan. I'm a political guy. How soon should I and the Liberian people see a plan, or will we see a plan that will spell out your timetable for 2023, and not only that, and how you will govern the Liberian people? Because you talk the big talk, Ability, if I can call you that way. So, Musa, you need to give
Please
me
do.
that plan. I want to see that plan, my friend.
But first of all, I did not criticize in vain. And when I criticized, there was no CPP. They had not signed any framework agreement, and so therefore there was no agenda. They had just agreed to work together. There was no document binding them together and holding them responsible for each other. All right, and that was my frustration, and that was my clarion call, and they heeded the call, and it resulted into the formation of the CPP, and we are proud of that. And therefore, I'm happy that I read the Royal Act to the CPP, and they responded, and they culminated into the signing of the document. It is clear the CPP, where we came together, we won. Where we failed to come together, we lost. So the Liberian people already told us what they expect of us, and that if we don't do it, what they're going to do. All right. There are counties in the past election where we did not properly, cooperate. We lost. Where everything was in order, like District 9, where there was different outcomes, we lost. But where we stood together, we won. So
I
the
get that.
formula is
I
very
get
clear.
that, Musa. And
We're
what
going to
I'm
continue
asking
to.
you is, going
Mr. Sewell,
forward,
Mr.
can you
Sewell,
assure me of a plan for the CPP? I mean, going forward, can
yeah,
you assure the Liberian people of a plan, a timetable for primaries and all that, and how soon should we expect that?
we'll call him back to talk about
Um,
the CPP.
we are about to take over the CPP. Give us 90 days, and you call me back. I will give
Yeah.
you concrete items that have been laid. The Liberty Party is going to run CPP into for 8 months. When we finish with that process, the full roadmap for CPP will be properly laid out and ready to be executed. So yes, we're ready to go. I mean, it is our time, and we'll do it, very well. I think the
All right.
foundation has been laid by those before us, and I think the ANC did extremely well. They moved us through the uh, the
Yeah.
election, and they succeeded in getting us to win the majority seat in the election, and we're proud of that. And I think that Liberty Party can take it from there. We have a couple of by-elections, about 5 of them. We're going to be robust, we're going to be active, and we're going to make sure that we win those elections.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. All right, folks, in cyberspace, I turn it over to Dennis Jai, and then let us close this.
On that note, we want to say thank you, Mr. Bility. We want to say thanks to all our viewers from across the globe and even those who will watch later. This is Focus on Liberia, and you can get it anywhere better than this. Until then, we're going to be closing with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Whether you are part of the Liberty Party, the Unity Party, the Liberian People's Party, or no party at all, we are all Liberians, and let us do our best so that our country becomes that glorious land of liberty. Bye-bye for now.
We are Liberians. We are Liberians.